So we're just going to move right on into the lesson. I apologize for being a little late. Today is a special day, and then my boo was still trying to put on her makeup. I said, I got to go. So, but anyway, we talked about our last week of death and taxes, which is coming out of our seed series, which is series 9. And this particular series is dealing with discipleship and civic duty. And this is again session number 2, and the title of it was entitled "Death and Taxes: A Christian View of Paying Taxes." And I don't know about you, but this really has been a challenging and an enlightening lesson for me, as I have really had opportunity to look at how God views one of the things that's not my favorite thing to do. So we've been talking about and we've been looking at the scriptures for a view of how the importance of us being civic minded, because it begins right there. And even today, there's a couple of points that I want us to look at, and we're going to look at some scripture things, a positive and a negative, regarding that, about being civic minded, because it begins right there. Because if your heart is not for those in your community that may not be as well off as you are, or you may have some ideas or some feelings about why you got to be giving up your money to help other people or whatever, then paying taxes can be a really stressful deal. And then if you're really self-centered, then paying taxes will be an instance where you will really be challenging your integrity, because you'll be trying to steal from the government, and by that be stealing from the Lord. We're on page 9. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. So we had some the words to know that we had was civic and moral and responsibility. And every time I've done it, I tried to basically put moral and responsibility together, because I believe as believers we have a moral responsibility to be compliant to our government in this area. Okay, because we as a people have been very beneficial in many of the things that these programs provide for us. Well, one of the things we've been laughing about is I used to really cry, who is FICA, when I'll be looking at my check stub. I wanted to know who FICA was, because I'm like, FICA getting a whole lot. But then I figured out that FICA stood for Federal Insurance Compensation Act, which really funds Social Security and Medicare. So that's very important to me and my community. I mean, if you're older or whatever, you're on Medicare, that's paying your health care benefits or whatever. And then if you're getting close to retirement age, you sure want to be sure there's some Social Security around, because that's part of my retirement plan. I mean, I have a whole lot of IRA, but I got a whole bunch of Social Security. So, I mean, they tell me that if you didn't plan to be, wait a minute, if you fail to plan, then then you plan to fail. Well, in some areas I plan to fail because I done retired 3 times. Took the penalty and spent part of that. You understand? So FICA is going to be important to me in the next few years. So I thank God for a government that would even think ahead to cause us to look at those sort of things for the well-being of us as a society. Okay, so I mean, because if you don't look out for the people that don't have, then don't be surprised that people ain't breaking in and taking your stuff. You want to make sure that there's money in the pot so that people can be taken care of, so that you don't have the true have-nots and the haves. Especially if you're one of the haves, because now you're a target. But anyway, as I was looking at this, one of the things that I've seen from a biblical perspective is that really it's a biblical principle. And we stopped at nurturing the seed, and there's just 2 paragraphs on that I want us to pick up on that we didn't read before, and then we're going to finish it out. And after we read this, then I'm going to show you how this really is a biblical principle. Okay, so somebody get on page 11 and read for me, picking up at where it says taxes on money. So it's like the 3rd paragraph or the 4th paragraph down the page. Tina, you sound like you're ready to do something. Help a brother out. She coming to you. On page 11. Mm-hmm. About the middle of the page. Okay.
Taxes Taxes are money paid for support of the government and the cost of public works and services. The, they pay for schools, utilities, roads, bridges, the running of government programs, disaster relief, police and fire departments, and more. We have seen in political arenas an increasingly loud call, especially pushed by the Tea Party movement, asking for some taxes to be abolished. Is this a Christian position? How would public services be paid? Who would benefit? Who would suffer? It is true that taxes can be burdensome, especially when money is scarce. Europe may, however, have tax lessons to teach America that have special reason. I don't know what that
Wait a minute. I lost.
I don't know what that was. For
Oh,
Christian,
resonance.
re-
Meaning like it resonates in your head. I mean, like, so that
okay,
you can vibe with that.
all right.
Okay.
In much the same way that church ministries are designed to cover needs of multiple populations, many Europe countries pay high taxes to ensure that the needs of all citizens are met. The results are surprising. A 2010 Gallup poll of 132 countries found that Denmark paid the highest taxes, up to 59%, and had the happiest people. America was 20,
12.
12,
12.
12 happiest.
Mm-hmm.
Taxes raised for other countries were as following: Sweden and Netherlands 52, France and United Kingdom 50. These countries had, among other services, free preschool through college, national health coverage, family home health, and supportive services, resulting in negotiable child abuse. Negligible
Mm-hmm.
child abuse rates. An excellent transportation system, and roads and bridges in good condition.
Okay, so stop right there. So when you look at these places that was paying higher rates of taxes, they had free college for everybody. They had better healthcare systems. They had better public transportation. They had better roads and all that. Is that sounding good to anybody?
That sounded fabulous.
I got $100-some thousand worth of student loan debt still. So, yeah. But when you think about it, when you really think about it, even when you look at the thing for tithing, he says, bring you all those tithes into the storehouse. Why? That there may be meat in my house. Because the church were the ones that was distributing to those who did not have. Okay? But we become a selfish society.
Yeah.
And Jesus talked about this. This is why I was telling, like, these are like biblical principles that we really, and that's why I pointed out that, depending on where your heart is, when you do your taxes, you'll be lying and cheating because you're trying to get some extra for you. Hey, I know people that got kids on their thing that's 50 years old, and they still trying to claim them. You understand? Because to get those extra deductions and stuff. Not realizing that money that you're getting back is coming out of a pot that could be funding things that will make our whole society better. Okay? So again, he says, bring you all the tithes so that there will be meat in my house. And then the challenge is, he said, test me. See if I won't take care of all you need and extra. And we saw that in the life of Jesus with Peter when he told him, go down there, cash your hook, and there's going to be a coin in there that's worth, well, they had to pay 2 drachmas per person, and he gave him a 4 drachma coin. He gave him enough to pay the taxes and have enough to pay Jesus' taxes too. So you could pay Caesar what belonged to Caesar, and you could give God what belonged to God, and all it cost him was to trust and obey. Okay? Peter was a semi-retired fisherman, skilled in that area, but he had given that up to follow who? Jesus. Are there things that we're to give up to follow Jesus? Okay, and one of the first things he said that I have to do is I have to deny who? Myself. But when it comes to me filling out my taxes, now I done worked hard for that. That's my money. Am I the only somebody be saying that? Amen, lights in the back. Because that's how we be feeling. I'm unwilling to deny myself in this area. You know, because I see where I can maybe get some extra or pay off some stuff or whatever. I can feed my greed, not necessarily my need. Because if I'm honest, God's already taken care of all my needs. You know, but it's some stuff that I've been wanting, you know, and if I can get a big enough return, you know, I might get with Junebug and they're going to give me one of them extra big screen TVs on the discount. Fell off the truck. You know how we'd be. But so it comes about that God is challenging us with this lesson to really think about that there's some things that we need to reevaluate. You know, you might have a heart problem and not realize. And just like a physical heart problem, you can find yourself in a world of hurt, needing some emergency care. You understand? Because the backside of this is that we all got to stand before the judgment seat of Christ to give an account for what we've done in the body, both the good and the bad. Now, I don't want to be there on that day and be trying to explain why I thought it was okay for me to be stealing from the government, why I felt like they owed me some extra. You know, why, you know, them people getting welfare, I ain't got to feed them. You know, they need to get a job. You know, I don't want to be explaining that to the Lord on Judgment Day. You understand? But see, here's what Jesus said in Matthew, when he was talking about the end times, Matthew 24:12. Somebody give me that. Matthew 24:12. Again, Jesus is talking about the very times that we're living in now. You know, I mean, and it's plain. Matthew 24:12. You got it? She's coming. What does it say, sis?
And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
Oh.
Keep going.
No, that's all. That's a mouthful. He says, because, in King James it says, because of the iniquity of the world, the love of many will have waxed cold. Okay, so we see people hooking and crooking. We see government officials with supposedly billionaires that pay less income tax than I pay. Okay? And I ain't nowhere near a billionaire. Okay? We see people taking all these tax shelters and all these breaks to keep there. And because of that, and the author talked about it, one of the arguments he gave, he says, if you think that some people are getting too many social services and stuff, then you may not want to pay taxes. Ain't that what he told us? Remember over there on page 10? He said, I'm going to read it. He says, taxes are an extraordinary complicated issue, the discussion of which becomes volatile when citizens feel the following. Number one, the money that they have contributed for payment of taxes is spent on projects or policies for which they disagree. For example, some people don't wish to fund the wars. Some people don't want to fund abortion and stuff either. Okay? So they don't want their government money going for that kind of stuff. So that some people will use that as a reason for not wanting to pay taxes. Bullet point number 2 says the person or the class of persons to whom tax funds are being distributed are undeserving of them, and some may think that the wealthy should not receive tax breaks, while others, believing that the poor already have too many services, think that the social program should be defunded. And we have people right here in our mix today that was saying, them rich people get too many tax breaks, Kevin. But anyway. Oh, we're going to look at that. Hold on. There you go again, getting ahead of me. Pump your brakes. A little less gas. Brother Terry, did you have your hand up? Oh, you just was amening? You was amening in the back? Okay. So Kevin just raised a very valid point, and which is, again, is a biblical principle that I want us to look at. What would it look like if everybody bought into the thing that God has set in place? Because, again, there's no authority that who didn't establish? Y'all said that like y'all ain't been reading y'all Bible. Romans 13 chapter says there is no authority that was not established by God. You may have some corrupt people involved with it because he uses people to carry out his plan. And we know that we live in a fallen society. Okay? You got crooked folks in every party. You got crooked people in every race. You got crooked people in every neighborhood. You got crooked people in your house. Because I got some in mind. Okay? So, but God still loves us, right? And his plan is still good and very good. Okay? I don't care how, and see, but remember what Jesus said? Because of the iniquity of the world, or her translation said, because iniquity abounds, because people have, and iniquity is a habitual practice of sin. That's not your everyday transgression. You can't say, well, I accidentally was walking down the street and I fell up on $100 million. No, you were stealing. You did something. And you probably been doing something, see. So it's like, that may be a bad analogy, but I was really thinking about something Richard Pryor had said, but I couldn't say that in church, so I had to try to tighten that up a little bit just so it could pass the censorship of the Lord's house. But y'all know what I'm talking about. You can't be lying like you've been doing this stuff all the time, and then now you're going to try to act, oh, it was an accident. No, it wasn't no accident. You was planning to do that. When you claim your sister's kids on your income tax and they don't even live with you, and you ain't even gonna buy them a McDonald's sandwich, you know you was lying and did that on purpose. Okay, you can't act like there was no accident. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Hold on, she's coming to you. Mm-hmm.
My mom would see because she
Mm-hmm.
I had to buy my lunch. But a lot of people did, but they cheated on that thing.
Yeah.
So they couldn't pay to get that free lunch. My mom wouldn't do it.
Right. She had integrity. And she knew that God was providing for you anyway. See, some of that stuff that we can hook and crook to get, God said he'll let you have the desires of your heart. And he'll let you get that stuff, but he sends leanness to your heart. You understand? So when you got to go around God to try to bless yourself, he promises that you're not going to get all of that out of that. It's better to have a little in the Lord than to have a lot and be without him. See, and we miss that. We get so caught up with the socialization of stuff, and again, even though we poor, we want to save our money to go get them new Jordan. $200 and some, waiting on drop day to get them $200 and some pair of Jordans, and trying to set aside some money to pay a bill or to do something constructive, something that's going to last. Now, I got nothing against Jordan. But if you ain't got Jordan money, you better go on down there and get you some of them Shacks from over at Walmart. See? Some of them and ones. But if you want to get your hair pierced, you bring your child home some and ones. They be like, I ain't wearing these. And there you go, down there dropping 200 and something. Hey, and don't just be laughing at the kid, because some of us women want to walk around, and I'm going to keep it at my house. I seen sister girl want to roll around with a Coach or something. I said, you got $2. Now what you need a Coach bag for? You got to keep it 100. You got to keep it 100. If we live within our means and we trust and obey God, then God will meet every need that we got. But oftentimes we trying to rob the government because we trying to feed our greed, not our need. That's a problem. That's a problem. You got to look that head on and say, man, I got a heart problem with this. Okay, but see, Kevin raised a very legitimate question, but I love that guy, but he's always ahead of me. But I'm going to tell you like this. The Bible gives us an example of what it looks like when we all do it right. Somebody give for me Acts chapter 2, and I want to look at verses 42 through 47. Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47. And Sister Kathy, would you would, please, ma'am. You ain't got your peoples on? Oh, Lord. Somebody else that got their book and their glasses. Portia. Portia. What you got, Portia? Acts 2. Now look at this. Now let me tell you something. This is the first century church, okay, who again was operating under persecution, right? They done killed Jesus, okay? The disciples done been scattered, right? But the word of God is still going on. And they still showing love for one another in a lower degree of selfishness that we are experiencing in today's time. See, we living in the promised land, and we still so caught up on self till we can't enjoy the benefits of God's blessing. Okay? So what does it say, Sister P?
What script? What verse?
Start me at 42. Take me 42 to 47. Yeah, 42 to 47. Acts 2, 42 to 47.
They devoted themselves to the apostles, teaching, to fellowship, to the bread.
Hold on for a second. So I want everybody to know what that pronoun is representing. It says they devoted themselves. He meant the followers of Jesus. Are we followers of Jesus? Come on now. Don't pull my leg. Because if you're a follower of Jesus, you should be doing some of this stuff. Now, if you ain't doing none of this stuff right here, you might want to check first base. Okay? What they did?
Teaching, to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles.
Mm-hmm.
All the believers were together and had everything in common.
What?
They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need.
Stop right there. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. I got to digest this for a second. First of all, they was all on one accord, right? The Bible said that they was all on one accord. And a sign of them being on one accord was that they was keeping and studying the book, the disciples' doctrine, right? It said it says they were steadfast, not every other Sunday or first and third and second and fourth, and they wasn't CEM Christians, Christmas, Easter, and Mother's Day. No, they were steadfast in the book, okay? And then they was fellowshipping together, right? And strange thing came out of that. Woo! Miracles, signs, and wonders. We want to see miracle, sign, and wonder. Raise your hand if you don't want to see miracle, sign, and wonder. If you don't want to see them. I don't see no hands up in this room, and that's good because I'm in the right place. We're in a place where we looking to see the Lord move in the earth realm. Am I right about that? I'm praying every week, Lord, break off some more chains on some people. Free them so that they can worship you, Lord. Lord, give them a blessing that's beyond their understanding, Lord. Give them peace of mind. I'm looking for God to do some stuff. But there's a prerequisite in all of that. We got to prepare our hearts. We got to get our heart in tune with the Holy Spirit as we coming into this place. Not waiting to get here and waiting on somebody to pump me up and inspire me. I need to come in here fired up for the Lord. My worship starts, I tell my kids, your worship literally starts the day before, which is Saturday for us, right? Now, we know Saturday, that's my day. Now, the Lord know better than that. Nah, that's my relaxation day. That's date night and all of that. I can't be. But no, I need to be getting my heart ready for the Lord to meet him in that place, right? If I really want to see miracle signs and wonders. Okay? So, and what else were they doing? Wait a minute, wait. Don't even read no more. Gave me too much already. Because you said they had everything in common. That meant what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. Boy, you better stop looking at my stuff, Kevin. Hey, I like you, but I don't like you like that. Hey, and a strange thing happened with all of that. It said that when brother was in trouble, they was willing to sell some stuff to help out the other brother. What? No. I could have understood if it said, well, they sold it and then they divided it evenly. No, I didn't say nothing about they divided it evenly. He said they divided it as there was need. So if you needed $100 and I didn't need but $1, I get the $1, you get the 100. And I was happy about that. I wasn't mad. I wasn't feeling bent out of shape. I wasn't feeling like I wasn't getting mine. wait a minute, now they blessed them last week. Now what is this? They need to get to work. Somebody over there ain't working. They got in some applications or what? You know how we'll get. You better not keep coming up here acting like church for some needs. Boy, they're going to be cutting their eyes at you like want to follow you home and say, what is this rascal doing? We become Job's friends then. Oh, yeah, he's smoking dope or something. Something ain't right. The Lord is good. He's blessing all the time. How come they ain't got nothing? Huh? No, Kevin, see, you said, what would it look like if everybody did it the same? The Bible gives us an example that when we do it his way, you know what? Then there's no need. Because if there's a need in the house, we gonna meet it. I'm not gonna let my sister's light bill get cut off. I know BPU the biggest bully on the block, but he can't whoop all of us. Let's go get him. No, posse up. Posse up. When we was in the street, we posse up. Huh? I heard a lady say yesterday, if you fought one of them, you had to fight all 11 of them. I knew some families like that. I didn't grow up in Kansas City, but boy, don't come down there to Arkansas thinking about you going to jump on some certain families. I don't seen the mama come out and hit somebody in the back of the head with a brick. I'm telling you. Hey, because she rushing the rest of them out there. Y'all better get out there and fight. What is it about my father's children that we don't care about one another on that level? Because Jesus said that because of the iniquity of the world, the love of many will have waxed cold. We don't love each other like we ought to. That's how come you can cheat on your taxes. That's how come you can cheat on your tithes. The tithes is being used to help people in need. I've been a recipient of that in this place. And as God blessed, I tried to give back more and more. Because I love God, and I love seeing his people walk out his principles. And we got to catch that. Notice I said we got to catch that. You know, some things are taught, but the best of them is caught. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Because once you taste it for yourself, see, now ain't nobody got to pump you up. You feeling it now. You in that groove. You ready to see, Lord, what can I do to help? You know, JFK, I think, was the one that said, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you could do for your country. We done lost all of that because of the iniquity of the world. We done lost all of that, except for the remnant, the smallest amount of the sweetness of Jesus. Because if we was like that first century church, this place would be packed, even for Sunday school. Because we will be steadfastly going into the disciples' teaching and doctrine. You would have a hunger for the word. It's just the truth. I mean, I don't make it mean to make it get all quiet and everything, but you know, y'all was laughing a minute ago when I was cracking. But the reality is that God is calling us to a higher level. And I'm sure many of us like, I'm glad they're about to get off them taxes and stuff. I done heard enough. But anyway, I digress. So it goes on to say, the author went on to say that a person paying half of his taxes or his salary and taxes may not be too high of a price to pay for happiness. So if we contributed a greater amount, if that meant that all of our kids had good health care, good dental plans, and, you know, could get their glasses when they needed them, and wouldn't have to be in here waiting on the husband to bring them another pair of glasses. No, I'm just messing with you, Cat. I'm just saying, if we was just really just all in, then everybody would have what we needed. Is that too much to pay for us to share the burdens of others without trying to dictate where the money gonna go? You know, they got that thing called MetaShare, which I think is a good idea, but I listen to them saying that people are buying into it because they don't want their tax dollars being spent for all these other things. Well, if somebody got in trouble and they had to have that done, then who they got to stand before? The Lord. ain't got to judge that. You know, now I ain't trying to be Willie Lunchmeat and paying for the dope man either. But even he got to stand before the Lord. It says we all must stand before the judgment seat of Christ to give an account for what we have done in our body, both the good and the bad. You can't miss that. I know y'all about to say some of them going to have to do it. No, he said, oh. So he's the judge. And I think if we could take a little less judgmental position, then the love of God could flow through our hearts just a little bit more. You know, because what you ain't looking at is, as we're looking down at somebody, there's other people looking down on us. We are the people that they saying get too many social services and that needs to be defunded. A lot of that, not all of it, because there's plenty of the other races that's getting welfare and all them food stamps and all that stuff. Don't get it twisted. Because the devil is no respecter of person, just like God ain't no respecter of person. So people getting tore up from the floor up all around. But when the emphasis come down, they'll try to act like all that money is being funneled to one community group, which is a lie straight out of hell. Go down there to the welfare office. You're going to see just as many of everybody else as you see y'all. I've been down there. Yeah. I ain't ashamed to say it. You know, I mean, God is blessing. And it's through our taxes, it's through our obedience to his command that we're able as a country to be able to provide those services. And without a doubt, America is one of the richest nations on the face of the earth. God is blessing us hand over fist, as the old people would say. You know, and then even, you know, when you was talking about the tithes thing, Kev, you know what I mean? New Testament says that he loves a cheerful giver. That Greek word is hilarious. Are you hilarious when you give up your offering? Do you do it with a smile? Or are you like saying, dang, I was going to get them shoes. And now I got to wait till next month, the next payday, to get them extras that I wanted. Got 20 pair of shoes at home, but, you know, there was one other ones that I kind of liked that just came out this week, and I want to get them before they get cold. No. That's not godly. And we have to acknowledge that. You know? Okay, so fruit from the seed. Okay, and this goes with that whole thing about checks and balances. It talks about in 2 Kings 15, 19 through 20, tells the story of a king of Assyria who led an invasion into Israel and received funds to secure his hold on that land from another monarch. Now, what happened was one of the kings paid him to attack Israel. King of Judah paid him to attack Israel. And them kinfolks, but it didn't matter. Because there was division in the house. And you know how he got the money to do it? He taxed the people. It didn't come out of the royal treasury. Remember, Jesus said, do the kings tax the foreign peoples, or do he tax his own kids? And the resounding answer is he taxes his subjects. He don't tax his kids. So even when he was paying the king of Assyria to go up against Israel, the money that he did it with came from taxes from the people of Judah. Which points out, even in the Bible, the next serious point that the author makes, it says this, it's on page 12, at the top of page 12, it says this story teaches us that there must be, number one, that we must understand, number one, how taxes are going to be used. Number two, that their purpose must be moral. Number three, that there must be adequate checks and balances in the governmental system that imposes them in order for them to work well. Now, I don't know about you, but when I look at those 3 points, you know what that reminds me of again? I got to be serious about my vote. I got to be serious about the kind of people that I'm willing to put in governmental positions who are making the decisions on where this money's going, who's getting it, and how that's to be distributed. You know, if we look closely at when all that money was being given out during the pandemic, there were some rich billionaires that their people and their corporations was getting a whole bunch of that pandemic money. And that's, nobody ain't talking about that. Them stimulus checks too. Them pennies, that you right. But if you really went back and looked at it, some of them high-ranking officials and people in their families and their corporations got a whole big old chunk of that bailouts. Them pandemic money, a lot of that went to people that shouldn't have been, didn't need it. Now, but we don't talk about that. And I'm not going to talk about it much here today, except for the fact that the author pointed out that we have to be sure that there's checks and balances and that somebody is seeing where that money is going. There has to be accountability. Just like in the house of the Lord, there has to be accountability about what happens with our tithes and offerings. There has to be an accountability in the physical realm. And for us, as citizens of this nation, this is another instance where we need to be careful and aware of how our vote is being cast and where that's going. Okay? Don't just throw money at the thing. It takes some involvement. And again, that's another area that we're a little bit lax on. You know, some may want to just give them the money, whatever. Just don't say nothing to me, and don't look at my reserve that I got over here in my safety deposit box. But just I'm gonna do this because I don't want y'all watching me close. No, it takes some involvement. And so that's the backside of what we've been looking at. Now, I can see the young people coming in, which means I got less than 5 or about 5 minutes. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. 2-minute warning, okay. So, in recap, we need to understand that even in a bad situation, God still always wanted his people to be an example of what a good citizen looks like. And I said it earlier, that you can be a pretty good citizen and not be a good Christian, but you can't be a great Christian and not be a good citizen. You can't. And some of us has twisted that in our mind, and have lied to ourselves, like, oh, I'm just as good as them. Them ain't the standard. Jesus is. Them ain't the judge. Jesus is. So with that in mind, now how I operate, the only person that really I'm most accountable to, or my first priority of accountability should be the one who already know what I got in my bank account. He already know what I'm hiding. And I'm going to say this again as I get ready to take my seat. Ain't y'all glad this ain't like in the old days when in the presence of the Lord you had holiness, sanctification, and death? Holiness, sanctification, and death. Because when Ananias and Sapphira came up in there talking about, yeah, that's all we got out of that. Boom! The Lord dropped them where they stood. And then the Bible said the wife came in sometime later, and they said, hey, how much did y'all get off that land? See, because Kevin, you see what I'm saying? When you was talking about what it looked like when everybody's doing it? See, when everybody was doing it, it was looking good, and everybody was being taken care of. Well, then the Bible said there was a guy named Barnabas who gave up his and just handed it out. And everybody said, ooh, that Barnabas is a bad man. Look at what he did. And they wanted that pat on the back. And instead of just being honest that their heart wasn't like Barnabas, they're going to try to come up in there perpetrate. And the Lord checked that at the door to the point that it says, and they that buried your husband, their feet is at the door, and now they're going to carry you out. Taxes and death. 2 things for sure you cannot escape and on this side of God's earth. I want to thank you for your time. God bless and keep.